Geoff, thank you for helping us out here at Vineyard Longmont. So,
Who am I? I'm the associate pastor at the Windsor Vineyard. So, part of the Vineyard family here in northern Colorado. I live in Fort Collins. I came to college. I went to Colorado State, and that would have been the fall of 1999.
okay.
So a long time ago.
I went to Colorado State in 1983 to 84. So,
Okay.
in my humble opinion, it was you just left there just a moment ago.
Yeah. I actually had an encounter with God in my third year of college, and it was just sort of felt like a sovereign move from God. I attribute it to the prayers of my grandparents. Yeah.
So, were you like a squeaky clean kid, even though you weren't religious?
I definitely wasn't squeaky clean. I mean, overall, as a good kid, I got good grades. I played sports. But I think was just caught up, in all the things that the world tells you is valuable and important. And there was a moment where the thing that I think that God had put in me was this question: well, there has to be more to life than what I was seeing around me. What I was seeing people give their lives to, what I was giving my life to, it just seemed kind of empty. And so that's what led me, I think, to Jesus. There was a moment, now, I mean, we're talking 7-8 years later, where I'm feeling like the Lord had been telling me, I had the sense that it was going to really cost me. It was going to cost me time. It was going to cost me comfort. It was going to maybe cost me maybe some friends, maybe money. Like it was going to cost me to really be a follower of Jesus. And that actually, so when the opportunity came at Vineyard of the Rockies to go on a young adult trip to Nicaragua, that was like the first thing. That was like the first way that I actually got involved.
Do you mind? I want to hear a little bit more about your quote Jesus experience when you're a junior. I mean, were you by yourself? Did someone drag you to church?
There was a speaker on CSU's campus, some guy from the Midwest, Dr. Joe Smith, I think. I still have a book.
Okay.
He had some ministry. He had played football at SMU. He was at the Laurie Student Center. It was kind of, I had been invited to it by a friend who was a Christian, who incidentally was one of the bigger jerks that I knew. I don't even know why I said yes. I think it was, again, just like a sovereign move of God that I would be there. He gave this message that God had more for your life. He had it right now, and that your debt's been paid. Like, it felt surreal. I just remember feeling like an out-of-body experience.
Okay.
Like, I know there's a moment where I went forward, in like kind of I don't know if there was a formal altar call scenario or what played out, but I remember going forward.
Well, tell us about, we're doing Habakkuk and Zephaniah this week. And of course, I think we picked it in that order because that's the order that they appear in the minor prophets. But Zephaniah actually was written before Habakkuk, right?
Yeah, Zephaniah kind of follows the traditional 3-part pre-exilic prophetic flow, right? There's and I particularly love the third part of that, which is it's the prophetic promise of restoration. There's this hope that you can hold on to even in great trouble, even though there's judgment coming, even though there's consequence for having turned from God. There's just always this. He's just always there. There's always this. Hey, but you can turn to me. I think of that verse where it's like, if they would turn to me, I would heal their lands.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's just always there. Like, that's God's character.
Yeah. We see that. I love that about all of the prophetic books. And so when you're ordering food at like a restaurant, do you mention to the waitress something about the three-part flow of pre-exilic prophets?
No, I don't usually get into the minor prophets at the restaurants, but I don't
Probably
know.
because you're hungry.
Yeah, I'm usually focused on what I'm ordering.
Yeah, I'm into that.
Yeah.
I like the way you put that, though. All right, so take us to the third part of Zephaniah.
Yeah. So the portion here of Zephaniah 3 I wanted to look at was verses 16 through 19. I'm reading from the ESV. On that day it shall be said to Jerusalem, fear not, O Zion, let not your hands grow weak. The Lord your God is in your midst, a mighty one who will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you by his love. He will exult over you with loud singing. I will gather those of you who mourn for the festival, so that you will no longer suffer reproach. Behold, at that time I will deal with all your oppressors, and I will save the lame and gather the outcast, and I will change their shame into praise and renown in all the earth. I mean, I think about the importance of praise and worship for us. But what's incredible here is to read about God singing over his people, God exulting over his people, bringing stillness, like rest to the souls of his people in loud singing. It says, and so there's something profound there that I think I'm still just unpacking this week.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to me that he's singing over the people that have been who've been mourning over the loss of the festivals, the people that actually were worshiping God, like the remnant or whatever, and those are the ones that he's just so happy to sing to, because they actually care. They actually had their hearts were for God.
Yeah, he's with them. He's seen their suffering. He knows what they're going through, and he's there with them in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Amen.